warm welcome.
So, you only get so many big moments in a lifetime. You only get so many trips to the plate. And of those times, there are very few when you actually have the strength and the vision and the opportunity to really do something extraordinary. And this is one of those times. Now, if you're watching this on a screen, through that little camera, these folks, they were invited to come tonight for a surprise announcement. And I do see some surprised faces out there. They are not, in fact, supporters of Brent Roske for Congress. See, I was the first candidate in this race. I announced last July. And shortly after that, Marianne Williamson joined the race. And shortly after that, something very surprising happened. I got a phone call very early, January 30th. And it was from a good friend of mine, the D.C. Shadow Senator Paul Strauss. And I picked up the phone and I said, "Good morning, Senator." And he said, "Waxman's out. It hits the post in 10 minutes. And with colorful language, I asked him, "Are you kidding?" And he assured me he wasn't. So between the press interviews that day, Marianne Williamson and I texted each other, congratulated each other on being first and second in the race. I had that moment like, look what we've done. So where are we now? We have a primary. We have a primary on June 3rd. It's just a few weeks away. Just a little piece of business here. In California, we do not have same-day registration. You have to be registered by the 15th of May, so get off your butts and go to the California Secretary of State's website and register to vote. So where do we sit in this race right now? For the last couple weeks, I've reached out to consultants. I've reached out to other campaigns. I've reached out to journalists. I have asked, where's the polling? And they all said, we don't know. The only poll that's come out, actually, is the one that Wendy Gruhl did a couple weeks ago. Wendy Gruhl campaign announces she's in first. Boy, that's handy. That's like Brent Roske's campaign. He has the best haircut. I mean, come on. So I got an email this morning, actually, from one of the leading journalists for this race of the big paper in following this race. And they said that they know that the Gruhl campaign and the Ted Lieu campaign and the Matt Miller campaign are polling, but none of those numbers have made it to press. So they made the assumption that it's a very close race and that none of those numbers they want advertised. It's a very close race. So a little congressional education. In California here, we have the top two rule now. It's the second campaign election we've done that to, which means that in the primary, only the top two vote getters go on to the general election. Now, when Henry Waxman announced his retirement, very soon a whole new crop of faces popped up. And, you know, there's a critique to be made, of which I will make now, that perhaps they weren't looking to represent this district, but maybe they were looking to just look for any open seat they could run for. It's a very different place than where Marianne and I came from. So there are now 17 candidates. I've been running a very low money campaign. I have my own ideas about money in politics, and I don't think you should need millions or have to be a millionaire to run for office. So I've been running a low money campaign, but the fact of the matter is with 17 candidates, of which people are now spending $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $800,000, $900,000. I would say right now I'm coming in about fifth, maybe fourth. Again, there's no polling, so there's no one to disagree with me. So if it is in fact the top two rule, I had to ask myself, why in fact did I run to begin with? I ran to create more cooperation in Congress. That's the reason. I think the quickest way to do that is to get an independent member in the House. Did you know, out of 435 members of the House of Representatives, there's not one independent. In the Senate, we have two. We have Bernie Sanders. We have Angus King. But in the House, we do not have one independent member. See, I believe cooperation and compromise are what they should be doing. I think compromise is the true art form of Congress. They should be playing that at virtuoso levels, but that's really not what is happening, is it? It's partisan fighting. You know, the reason that government was created is so people would go to DC and they would passionately and creatively solve the problem of the American people. That's not what's happening right now. It's partisan fighting. And I think the quickest, the boldest single action we can do in California's 33rd, the most affluent district in California, is send an independent to the House.
Yes!
So, with it being a top 2 election, I looked at the rest of the candidates. And I thought about who has the human resources, who has the financial resources, who has the communication power to not only make it into the top 2, but win the election in November, and then go on to the real hard work and go to DC and start the 2 sides talking together again. And after the debate, what was it, last week, and all 17 of us were on stage, it looked like we were in the waiting room at the DMV, the choice was made really clear. So, as of right now, I'm officially ending my campaign for Congress. I am laying my campaign for Congress down in the service of a higher thought, and that is to bring an independent into the House of Representatives. So, I'm asking all Republicans, even though there's a Republican on the ballot, and I'm asking Democrats, even though there's Democrats on the ballot, and I'm asking Libertarians, and I'm asking Independents to make this bold, historic vote on June 3rd and vote for my friend, Marianne Williamson.
Will we still be able to text all the time?
Absolutely.
Because we have felt like we were there first, everybody else was an interloper.
That's
and
right.
They were crashing our party. And it's still just one party, what you and I have going. And I thank you very, very much. And I was actually starting to say before you got here, but I didn't want to say who it was and so forth. You know, it is very interesting the difference that one person can make in energy. And your energy, and that's why it's been so noted by reporters, just love you. Because you're, you know, he would call Bloomfield and have lunch, and I think that I assume I'm not the only candidate you just made friends with. You're just friends with the reporters. You're just friends with the candidates. And it's been an amazing, subtle but profound leavening. And truly, it has, and it is. And your presence here, I don't know exactly what you're up to in a bigger sense, but you're up to something, and you're successful at it, truly, truly. And I'm honored because, as is often true when someone is funny, there's something very serious behind it. And so you're doing this, you have gotten a lot of attention. So you're doing this evening is a meaningful move. It is a serious move, which I think is a very elegant thing for you to do now. And I remember when you first announced, and I read your website, it was a very serious website. I mean, the part about sharing the job with Henry Waxman if you won, and then I started feeling, well, will you share the job with me if you win? But I remember you were talking about, I live here more than he does. I mean, you did get to serious points, and you have made serious points throughout. And also what you just did by saying you call others to do what you just did. So I truly thank you, and I'm honored, and I feel about you what I feel about everybody here. I don't take anybody's support for granted, and I really do, from early in the morning to late at night, every day. I'm very aware I'm carrying other people's hopes and dreams and support. It's a serious responsibility and a serious, not a burden that I carry. It's a blessing that I carry, but I just want you to know I will try my best to live up to it, and I thank you very, very much.
Good. There you go. Good. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.